And we are live, everyone. What's going on, guys? It's Creator here, and this is the World Wrestling Podcast. I just gotta make sure I hear myself so I can mute this audio in the background, listening like to the playback feed. I just gotta make sure. Just give me 1 second. And we are good. All right. So what's going on, guys? Creator here. Welcome to a special edition of the World Wrestling Podcast. Merry Christmas, everyone. Or if you don't celebrate Christmas, it's happy holidays in general. Hope you guys have a festive time doing whatever you're doing. I don't even know if you guys are even up right now. Well, you're already wondering why I'm up right now. Well, I'm about to explain why. I decided to do this wrestling podcast first in general. You guys remember a couple days ago I did a special end of the year video telling you guys like what my goals are for 2019. I said my main focus is Universe Mode, then GQ Evolution. Then it's the other section. The other section revolves World Wrestling Podcast. If I ever have time to do the podcast, if I'm not either focusing on Universe Mode, UQ Evolutions, that's when I do the podcast. And it just so happened this time I have time to do the podcast. Now you're probably wondering why. It's because I'm actually currently exporting the next episode of my Universe Mode, which is a Smackdown live episode, the first live episode of Smackdown live episode 2K19. So I have the time, the free time, as is exporting on my computer right now to do this podcast since I am still wide awake. So I just figured, why not? And also, so there's that. And also, another thing I want to say, I don't know where to start before I actually start the main portion of this podcast. You see the title is the announcement of the women's tag team title and give my thoughts. I'm also going to be giving a Raw review as well in general. I'm like, might as well I'm awake. Might as well just get over the Raw review. It was a Christmas special they already taped last week, but we can still discuss it right here. But before I go over that, I'm going to give a special thank you to pretty much everyone because like this past month, I have gained a lot of subscribers, and I can't believe that. Like, this past month, I gained over 50 subs this month on my channel. I think it's been a while since I have gained that many subscribers in 1 month alone. Like, you see right there on my subscriber goal right there is 30,000 subs by the end of the year, and we're currently at 4,300. So, like, we are definitely getting there, and I really appreciate it. So shout out to the current people on the event list that you can see right there on the screen. I'm going to butcher your names, and I do apologize for that. It is Loretta. Can't really. I gotta. Hold on, let me go full screen on this one. Loretta C here. Thank you for being a new subscriber. Chase Lavalley, thank you for being a new subscriber. Joseph Jean, Marco, Dorpus, Philippi, Michelle. Why is there so many first names in this one name? Beyond me. Ralph Knight, thank you for being a new subscriber. And I am that true immortal. Thank you for being a new subscriber of the channel. I hope you enjoy your stay here. Hopefully I can provide you the best content I can provide. That's the reason I'm assuming you subscribed in the first place. And it's because of you guys, well, they're all most of my subscribers, that we are on track to our goal of 30,000 subs by the end of the year. Now, before we actually get to the main portion of the podcast, time for a little bit of shilling. Cue the music for a second. Cue music. Let me make sure I can hear it on the screen. So you see this thing right here. Wait, why am I echoing? That's a problem. Hold up. I just realized I was echoing. That is a problem, and I'm going to fix that right now. That is so weird. Let me fix that. Can't even show yet. Can't even show yet. Good. I see the problem. Boom. Now I gotta listen to the playback real quick. I apologize, guys. I had no idea I was echoing. Hold on. Let me just make sure. I gotta look at the playback, make sure it's not echoing anymore. Okay, we're good. I had to listen to play it for a second again, guys. Technical difficulties, of course, when you're running a podcast at 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's go back to the shilling real quick. Now, as I already said, guys, the Smackdown live episode is currently exporting as of this moment. And as you guys know, if you already know, not familiar with my channel, I run Universe Mode on my channel. and we do like YouTube premiere feature. Basically, the episode airs live, and you guys interact with me during the chat and whatever. But if you want to become a member of my universe, you can directly support me. You get public recognition, exclusive badges. See all the 6 badges right there. If you become a brand new member, you get that blue badge right there, and it goes up during your duration of becoming a member. And eventually you get to that bronze logo of mine. Before being a member, I don't know, for like 2 years or whatever. That's reaching long term. But if you just become a blue member, I really would appreciate that. You get access to exclusive live chats. For example, this World Wrestling podcast right now, if you become a member, eventually I'll get, if you have enough members, I'll eventually get to the point where, hey, we could just do an exclusive chat for you guys. So again, you are a paid member. That's the least I can do. And for custom emojis for this episode of Universe Emojis, see 4 custom emojis that I have already available. Become a member today for today's episode of Smackdown Live. You got the Bailey emoji and Lex Bliss emoji because they're having a match tonight. If you're a fan of my universe, watch Smackdown Live. You know the storyline between those two. Last time Lex Bliss attacked Bailey backstage, which led to this match one-on-one tonight. So you can use these custom emojis to root for who you think's gonna win between Alexa Bliss and Bailey. You got the Smackdown Live logo just because Smackdown Live, so you want to use that by all means. And you also got the Intercontinental Championship logo because in our main event for the Smackdown Live episode is going to be a Fatal 4-Way match where the winner becomes the #1 contender for the Miz's Intercontinental title at the Smackdown exclusive pay-per-view Battleground for my universe mode. So if you want to become a member, you become a member today. It's $4.99 a month. And how you become a member? Well, if you look at the live chat, if you're actually in the chat right now, this is either during the live broadcast or pre-broadcast. You want to become a member, you just click on that $sign right there, and you have 2 options: super chat and join YouTube Gaming. I think I'll say it on mine, and you can hit the join YouTube Gaming to become a member that way. And my goal for memberships this year are 25 members. So that is my goal for this year. Members, if I can get that, that would be really awesome. I know that's going to happen over time, eventually over time that's going to happen. But other than that, what else got to get out the way? Oh yeah, as you can see, I changed up how I do my streaming. As you see, there's no more donation goal because I'm not this year's focus. Well, even though we're still in 2019's focus isn't really about donations or super chats. It's about me gaining more subscribers and getting more members, because that would actually help me long term. So if you actually either subscribe, donate, let's give some examples. Why not give an example? See that? If you subscribe, I don't know if it's going to pop up on the screen or not. It should. There you go. See that? Bad example. Bad example. Where is it? The alert box. That's my bad. See, I'm actually glad that I did that, because had I not did that, the alert box thing would have not appeared correctly. There you go. Let's try it again. If you subscribe, your notification will be popping up right there on the screen. If you become a member, you pop up right there on the screen. If you donate, you will pop up on the screen. I actually did 2 different donations, my bad. There you go. You donate right there. That's example John. Test donation for $51. And if you do a super chat, you get that super chat donation right there. So you will be recognized for your participation in today's stream. Even if you guys are awake, I have no idea. 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know who's awake. I could tell by the chat. But donation. I just want to tell everyone, donations and super chat. If you want to donate or super chat, the donation option is right there in the description. If there's the very first 2 lines of the description of this video, it says Streamlabs Creator. You could donate through there. It would be through PayPal, I think, or you can donate through whatever. It's just I just get receive it through PayPal, or super chats. It will appear during the chat side. So however you want to donate, that's perfectly fine by me. If you want to donate, I always appreciate that. But my focus this year is on subscribers and memberships. I just want to grow my channel. But if you do donate, it won't be for nothing, because as you can see on my screen, I still have the top donation, new donation. So currently top donation goes to Black Area Gaming with $2.19, and the new donation is obviously Black Area Gaming, $2.19, and you get a donation ticker right there on the screen. So you will be recognized. But just let you know, if you don't donate, I'm not upset over that, because my focus is for subscribers and memberships this year. So there's that. And if I were to suggest something, if you were to donate or do a super chat, not for just this stream, but just any stream I do in general, if you're going to be donating more than $5 or super chatting more than $5, I would personally recommend if you just become a member of my channel instead, because you're paying the same amount, you be actually getting perks if you donate. I mean, if you become a member for $5 instead of just donating or super chatting for $5, you actually get additional perks as well. These custom emotes have exclusive members only chats and what am I missing something here? Badges, emotes. There you go. I think that's enough shilling for one day. There you go. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw, which was a Christmas special. Let me just pull up my notes for that. I know, very professional. I didn't even have my notes up for Monday Night Raw. Even though the main point of this is specifically the women's tag team title, which we will be talking about, but we might as well just, since I'm awake, wide awake, we might as well just talk about Monday Night Raw. So let me just pull up my notes there. Actually, I'll just do it like this. This website is much more easier to manage if I do it this way. There you go. They actually give me literally everything that happens. There you go. It was a Christmas Eve special. You guys are unaware. Last week when they aired Monday Night Raw live, as soon as Raw went off the air, they actually did additional tapings for the show, because they are actually giving the superstars both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off, as well as New Year's Eve and New Year's Day off, because this Saturday they will actually be filming Raw. Either Raw is going to be on Saturday and SmackDown is going to be on Sunday, or they're both going to be on the same day. I have no idea. I got to relook that up. If I have the time, I'll relook it up to confirm that with you guys. But regardless, they will be doing that. So they're actually going to have New Year's Eve, New Year's Days off as well. So this was a tape show. So not in terms of storyline progression, not really much for storyline. I think WWE knows nobody watches their Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, holidays, like New Year's Eve, New Year's Day specials. So they make sure whatever storylines they are doing, it doesn't have that much of an impact that they'll miss it, because otherwise no point, because the ratings of the shows are going to be terrible anyway. So the first things first, on Monday Night Raw, you had Elias. He opened up, he sang about his special Christmas song before being interrupted by Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. Again, Elias, as you know, is already a face, and Bobby Lashley's a heel, so they had a Miracle on 34th Street fight. It was a entertaining match, to say the least. Again, I really like the position that Elias did. It really is baffling how the second Roman Reigns gets injured, you have all these superstars now that they're just switching up. Like, again, Elias was a heel for the longest, but the second Roman Reigns gets injured, oh, we gotta turn Elias fake because he's only getting a genuine reaction. So there's that. I wouldn't even be at least surprised that Kevin Owens comes back at the face too, because before he got injured, he got a good reaction from the crowd. So I wouldn't even be shocked that Kevin Owens becomes a face. Would not be shocked at all. But yeah, they actually, it was just a fun, you know, this is not a series, it is a street fight, but it's not a serious street fight because it's a Miracle on 34th Street fight. They had a bunch of gimmicks like Legos and stuff. Yeah, so it was a fun little thing just for the crowd. Cause at this point, as they was taping, it was already 11 o'clock at night. I don't think they could really get into a serious match, so I think they even knew that, so that's why they was going this route. Elias knocked off Rush with the apron through a table, and Elias opened up a bowling ball and hits the classic 7-10 split on Lashley. Elias hits Lashley with Cello for the win, and the winner of this Miracle 34th match was Elias. I mean, I can't even tell the crowd reacts, because due to the fact that it was taped, they altered all of the crowd reactions. So I don't know how the crowd actually reacted to this. So I personally thought it was a fun little match. I think, but the best match of the night was hands down the Raw Tag Team Championship match between Rude and Gable versus the Revival. The Rival, if you guys know from last week, on a fatal 4-way match against the Lucha House Party, Authors of Pain. The Ascension, I want to say the Ascension. I want to say the Ascension, but I don't actually remember. I know the Authors of Pain are in it. I know the Lucha House Party was in it. I want to say the Ascension, but do not quote me on that. Anyway, they won the match, so they got the right to face Rude and Gable. Gable and Rude double team Dawson. Gable whips Rude into Dawson. Monkey flip for a near fall by Gable. It was a very entertaining match, Saley. It was the best match on the show. Really, they are. I don't know who's writing these shows now, but when they, at least when Vince McMahon said where they're actually going to be focusing, they're actually paying attention now on, I think that's what they mean. Like, this match was actually incredible. Up until this point, any Raw Tag Team Championship match or any Raw Tag Team Division match in general was kind of pointless because they, for some reason this year, they made the Raw Tag Team Division a joke. And it's like they only gave it to people who weren't even really a tag team. Case in point, the Shield. I mean, the Shield is a faction. They're not a tag team. They just get like Drew McIntyre and Ziggler. They're a team, but they're not necessarily in a Raw tag team. Like, they were just giving the titles to their already top stars, not the actual tag team division, which I think people never cared, because your actual tag teams, what were they fighting for if the people who were holding the tag team titles in the first place was just people who are already in the top position. So there's that. So now the interesting part of this match was that Rude gets the tag and he clears the ring. Gable lands the Chaos Theory, but Dawson breaks up the pin. Gable gets the pinfall with a surprise roll-up. Now, the thing people don't realize is that Scott Dawson was actually not the legal man here. It was Dash Wilder. But I believe, I could be completely wrong, it could be the reverse, but either way, and Corey Gracie mentioned this, the wrong Revival member got pinned. So at least they actually... I mean, probably people are upset that the Raw didn't win the Raw Tag Team titles. Obviously not their time yet. Rude and Gable literally just won the title 2 weeks ago. They're trying to revamp this Raw Tag Team division. So they can't just give it to another team that quickly. They're trying to make these new champions credible. I mean, you have Rude, for God's sakes, a veteran, and you got Chad Gable, who everybody likes. So they're trying to revamp this Raw Tag Team division. And with that, you had... Whoa, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, one of the rival members got the wrong. They basically pinned the wrong rival member, so they made sure not to not only not bury the revival, which they've been doing for the past 2 years, but they made sure that, hey, now they actually have an excuse, because it's like, well, wait a minute, we did not actually lose the match because the person who got pinned was even the legal person in the match. So there's that. Then you had Dolph Ziggler versus Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre in a triple threat match. I mean, this is because, like, ever since TLC, where McIntyre fought Finn Balor, Dolph Ziggler's been getting involved in. Last week, Dolph Ziggler fought Finn Balor. Drew McIntyre got involved, so why not do a triple threat match? It was a very entertaining triple threat match. I mean, you got three of pretty much your workhorses, your high, mid to, well, these are pretty much the main eventers of Monday Night Raw right now. Ever since Roman Reigns left, these are your main eventers: Dolph Ziggler, Finn Balor, and Drew McIntyre. Like, people think, oh no, Dolph Ziggler's a mid card, Finn Balor's mid card. No, they've been bumped up to the main event level, because let me ask you something. Besides Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar, who else is in the main event? Exactly, these are your main eventers. So McIntyre kicked Ziggler in the gut. Then Balor and 2 high-flying elbows on McIntyre. McIntyre was a beast in the match. Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention, before the actual match even started, Drew McIntyre announced that he will be part of the Royal Rumble, so he's officially the first entrant inside the Royal Rumble match. But besides that, basically he's also going to go for the pin, but Balor lands a coup de grace, and Balor shotgun drop kick Ziggler, then lands him for another coup de grace for the win. So winner of this match was Finn Balor. So Finn Balor is on a continued pretty much hot streak going from TLC to now. He has been on a roll as of late, so he's getting a push. I can definitely tell you that. The question is, how long is this push? Who knows? I couldn't even tell you. But yeah, he's definitely getting pushed there. What else happened? Oh, yeah. So, I'm going to skip this announcement, the Vince McMahon Santa Claus announcement, with the exception that he announced that John Cena was going to be on Raw and Smackdown Live, and also next week's going to be steel cage match between Dolph and Drew McIntyre, because after the match with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler got finished, they was like, hey, Drew McIntyre was like, screw you, and then Dolph Ziggler hit the zigzag on him, so they're not done with each other. So they decided going to do a steel cage match next week. I'm pretty sure it's going to end the feud between those two. Pretty sure McIntyre is going to win the match, just make him look strong heading to the Royal Rumble. That's my prediction, at least. Then you have Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Ember Moon taking on Mickie James, Alicia Fox, and Dana Brooke. Again, I have to ask the question, when did Dana Brooke become a heel? I don't know. I mean, I know when she came out and attacked Sasha and Bayley with Mickie James and Alicia Fox, but that necessarily doesn't make her. I was going to say, when did she decide to say screw you guys? Because 2 nights before that, in the Starrcade show, she was whatever. The World went down. At the end of the day, it was just a 6-woman tag. Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Ember Moon won because the real story is after the match. The Riot Squad attacks Banks, Bayley, and Moon. I guess they're promoting the fact that the announcement, which I'm going to be talking about at the end of this review, the main announcement, or my personal thoughts on it. And I don't know how long that rant's going to be, but we're gonna talk about that. Then you have Paul Heyman. He was singing a version of Silent Night. Heyman tells us that Strowman has no chance against Brock Lesnar. Braun Strowman walks down to the ring. Strowman puts reindeer ears and a red nose on Heyman. Strowman tells Heyman that Lesnar's going to give, clearly the person who wrote this review messed up. That he told Paul Heyman that he's going to give Lesnar these hands. That is what I wanted to say. Up next, this was a good match, but the tag team titles really take the cake for me. The Raw Women's Championship match, because there was a, in terms of wrestling, okay, I'll say this. I always gotta put a disclaimer with this. In terms of wrestling, I feel as though the tag team championship match between Byron and Chad Gable taking on Revival, in terms of pure wrestling, I feel like that was the best match of the night. But in terms of a storytelling standpoint, obviously, you had to go to the Raw Women's Championship between Ronda Rousey and Natalya. So, Natalya earned this opportunity last week from the Gauntlet match. So, for the first time, these two are fighting one-on-one. And, again, the storyline here is that it was just clear that Ronda Rousey did not want to fight Natalya because she considered her best friend. Like, she doesn't want to fight her, but Natalya, she's holding nothing back because this is finally her opportunity. This is her first championship match on Monday Night Raw since being drafted to the Raw roster, so she was not going to let this opportunity pass her by. She getting everything that she had, but then Ronda Rousey finally had to fight back. She put on the armbar. Natalya tapped out, and then again, this from a pure storyline standpoint, this match was the best match in terms of storytelling because right as soon as the match was over, Ronda Rousey checked on Natalya after she put on the armbar because she clearly didn't want to put on the armbar at all. So. It was a good match, but just in my personal opinion, the match of the night had to go to the Raw Tag Team Championship match from a pure wrestling standpoint. But that's just my personal opinion. Then you had the Heath Slater versus Jinder Mahal match, which pretty much was nothing because the whole point was Santa Claus appeared in the crowd giving out gifts. Slater super kicks Mahal. Look like he's about to win. The Singh brothers attack Slater to cause a DQ, so Heath Slater technically won the match. But then Santa goes after the ring, gores Jinder Mahal, and takes out the Singh brother because guess what? It's Rhino, so he's back. So that whole storyline was clearly dropped because of everything is changing in WWE, so they had to drop whatever storyline they was going to tell with that. Then you had our main event, which was Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin, which in my personal opinion, they had to put nothing against Seth Rollins or Baron Corbin at all. Again, Baron Corbin is one of my favorite wrestlers. Seth Rollins is obviously one of the best there out there. But in my personal opinion, even though the ratings are going to be shit, if you actually wanted good ratings, shouldn't you have put Ronda Rousey versus Natalya in the main event? That is for your Raw Women's Championship. I mean, granted, I know that sorry about that, guys. I mean, I understand that you probably didn't want 2 women's matches in the main event twice in a row. I do understand that, but that was clearly the match I think people would have had waited to see instead of Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin. Nothing against Rollins, nothing against Corbin because I love Corbin to death, and Rollins is one of probably the best wrestlers there besides AJ Styles. But I just feel as though the main event, if I was booking the show, the main event would have been Ronda Rousey versus Natalya. So that would be the only thing I would like to alter in this card that they have for tonight. That would have been the Ronda Rousey and Natalya would have been the main event of that match. But Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin, it was a good match. I'll say they just wanted to send the crowd home happy. And Rollins had the current style for the win, and there's that. So what does the future hold for Baron Corbin? Because Seth Rollins is still clearly focused on Dean Ambrose until the Royal Rumble. Whether he actually, I don't think he's going to win the Royal Rumble. I think Seth Rollins is going to win the Elimination Chamber. I mean, both these pay-per-views are dual brand anyway, so it doesn't matter who necessarily wins the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber. I don't know. I mean, if Seth Rollins in the Royal Rumble, he's probably winning. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, if I was booking this, I would let Seth Rollins win the Royal Rumble because has more of an impact in the Elimination Chamber and let whatever what they're going to do it anyway, the SmackDown Superstar. Here's what I think is going to happen. This is just pure speculation on my part, but here's what I think is going to happen. Seth Rollins is going to win the Royal Rumble. Then you're going to have Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman at the Elimination Chamber. Whoever wins faces Brock. He's pretty much putting up his Royal Rumble spot to face Brock Lesnar. Seth Rollins is going to win. They're going to have Seth versus Brock at WrestleMania. It's clearly Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar is not happening at WrestleMania, because if it was, it wouldn't be happening at the Royal Rumble. So clearly it's not happening at WrestleMania. So, I mean, that is what I would personally do. But that's just me. And you just let the SmackDown Superstar win the elimination. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Raw. These are the issue with dual brands pay-per-views. Since they're all on the same show, it doesn't really matter who wins what. Because at least last year, we knew a SmackDown Superstar had to win the Royal Rumble because the Raw they had to sell an Elimination Chamber match. So it would have made sense for a SmackDown Superstar to win the Royal Rumble and a Raw Superstar going to the Elimination Chamber to have like a contenders match to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, which is exactly what they did. So, but this year, since they're all on the same freaking show, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Let me check something real quick, and then we're gonna get on to the main portion of this show, because this is something. We're gonna talk about the main thing of this show, which is let me pull up my notes. Well, it's not really notes, it's just off of memory. And just have a good little rant about, I guess you can say. So tonight on Monday Night Raw, it was a pre-recorded segment, but they clearly filmed it last week. But kudos for them for keeping it under wraps this whole time, because Vince McMahon publicly, in that Santa Claus skit, there was 3 things he announced: the John Cena thing. He announced the Baron Corbin. First of all, John Cena's returning. He's still a free agent to Raw and SmackDown. You're going to have what you would call it, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre taking on each other in a steel cage match. And then this is we're going to have ourselves women's tag team titles. He officially confirmed it. He didn't even specify what does all of this mean. All we know is that we're going to have women's tag team titles. Now, let's go into rant mode. Where do I begin on this? Where do I begin on this rant about the women's tag team titles? Well, first things first, I personally think it's actually a huge mistake for them getting the women's tag team titles. Now, let me be clear. I have no issue with the women's having the women's tag team titles. It's whatever. It's a new championship for the women. They're obviously pushing this women's evolution thing, women's division in general, because they're having a bunch more women added to the roster. And obviously it would, from a standpoint, make sense for the women to fight for something other than just 2 single titles and 2 separate brands. But that is why you split it in the first place. So, makes sense to me, right? I don't know why everything just reset on my screen. That was kind of weird. But there's that. So my personal issue with this is that from the status quo that they have set since 2016, this will not make any sense. Because let me explain. You guys remember in 2016, they decided to reintroduce this whole brand split idea with the Raw and SmackDown brands being completely separate. You have let's go back, with the exception of John Cena, let's go back in time to 2016 Cause that's the only thing that's been different now, and then is John Cena's free agent status. But let's go back to 2016, where both segments specifically said a couple things. They said you'll have superstars exclusive to Raw, superstars exclusive to SmackDown. They'll be on separate brands. These shows will feel unique and different. We'll have brand exclusive pay-per-views, but that's a whole nother rant for a whole nother time. The brand exclusive pay-per-views, they should have done that, and they were saying everything's gonna be separated. We have separate championships, separate TV shows, Raw and SmackDown. So the thing is, you establish the status quo of that, where everything is separated. But now with these women's tag team titles, let's not kid ourselves here. There's only gonna be one set of titles. It will baffle me. It will baffle me if they actually have two sets of women's tag team titles, one for Raw and one for SmackDown. I would lose my mind, because let's talk about one of the main issues of introducing the women's tag team titles. First off, you don't even have enough women to justify having a women's tag team division on the separate brands, because that's exactly my point. So what the issue is going to be, these women's tag team titles are going to, by default, mean that the brand split is technically over, at least for the women's sake. The women's, for the women, the brand split is over. There is no more brand split for the women, because at least let's just give a scenario. Let me just walk you through the scenario real quick. Let's just pretend, I don't know, WrestleMania, they crown the first ever women's tag team champions, which, if I had to take a wild guess based on things how it's going, it's going to be Sasha Banks and Bayley. That's just my wild guess here. Let's just pretend like that's going to happen, right? There are currently members of the Raw roster, right? And John Cena is the only free agent. So what this basically means is that the Raw women are going to be only eligible to be facing them for the women's tag team titles by default, right? But they can't do that, because if you're going to introduce women's tag team titles for Raw, what the hell is SmackDown women doing? You see, and that's the problem. So by default, they're going to have to make no choice but to make these women's tag team titles dual branded, which means it ends the brand split for the women, which in this context means that, let's just pretend like Sasha Banks in storyline hates being on Raw. She wants to go on SmackDown. The second she wins those tag team titles, she technically doesn't have to appear on Raw anymore, because she has the title. She could just stay on SmackDown, just defend it on there. You see the problem that they're putting themselves into when you do something like this. And then another issue: how do they actually contend? What is the criteria for contending for these titles? So let me give you an example. If let's just say Sasha Banks and Bayley win the SmackDown or Raw women's titles. I highly doubt they're gonna do that. Let's just pretend like they win the women's tag team titles for a second, right? What is the criteria for contention here? Because let's just say, okay, who are the current women's tag teams? You got the Riot Squad on Raw. I'm assuming Nia Jax and Tamina are a team. Alexa Bliss and Mickie James are a team. I'm assuming Alicia Fox and Dana Brooke are a team now, based on what's happening. So we have 3 teams. So you have 3 tag teams for Raw. They'll be competing for the women's tag team titles. What about the SmackDown side? What will make them in contention for the titles that are currently held by Raw superstars? Like, how would that work? I get that all of the brands are dual branded now. I mean, I get that all the pay-per-views are dual branded now. So their argument could be, well, on this pay-per-view, a member of the SmackDown women's team can have a shot at the titles. But on this, it makes no sense. It would be no consistency for what they would be doing here, because you fall into the situation where it's like, okay, Sasha Banks and Bayley are the women's tag team champions, but they're on Raw. How can the Iconics, right? Because they're a team on SmackDown Live. How can the Iconics compete for those titles? You're just going to say, hey, this month on the Backlash pay-per-view, the Iconics, they're SmackDown superstars, be competing for the titles. How did they get a shot? What did they do to earn the right for the shot at the title that they never even fought the women's tag team champions? You see, you see the problem with that is, like, it just doesn't make any sense. You're ending the brand split for the women. It really doesn't make any sense, because like you just can't make up. This is why they separated brands to begin with, because they want to make everything feel different. And also another problem is, if you introduce these Raw women's tag team titles and they're dual brand, I mean, they're dual branded. I mean, they're on Raw, SmackDown, even on NXT. They're probably going to do it on NXT. And this is, so you open up Pandora's box here, right? And if you do introduce these titles, the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships basically become pointless. Because, again, by default, every member of the rosters, their brand split has no effect on them anymore. So that's the problem. Why is there a Raw or SmackDown Women's Championship? So let's just say I'm spitballing here. Becky Lynch. Let's just say I'm Becky Lynch, right? I'm on SmackDown. But because of the women's tag team titles, we are technically free agents like John Cena. We compare on both Raw and SmackDown. So, hey, if I'm not competing for the SmackDown Women's title, I'm just going to jump ship to Raw real quick for a few months and try to go for that. I know realistically they're not going to do that, but just you have to make sense of the stories that you're telling here. And it just doesn't make any sense from a storyline standpoint for these women to have these titles, because it just opens up Pandora's box. There's not enough women. And here's the third main issue about this, right? They already have how many championships in total? You have the Universal. I'm going to count on my hand. The Universal title for Raw, the Universal title, the Intercontinental title, the Raw Tag Team title, the Raw Women's title. You have for 205 Live, the Cruiserweight title. That's 5 titles right there. Then you have for SmackDown, the WWE title, the United States title, the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and the SmackDown Women's title. So in total, you have 9 championships, right? You got 9 championships. The issue comes where, if you guys don't know already, both Raw and SmackDown are 2 different lengths. Raw is 3 hours. SmackDown Live is 2 hours. Now, what they could do, because they tested it with the Cruiserweight division, they could just add that. They could just put, because technically, if you actually look at their roster pages on WWE, the Cruiserweights, for the longest they've been on the Raw roster, as well as their 205 Live page roster, but they completely removed them. They're specifically on 205 Live. So it's clearly obvious the Cruiserweights have no bearing on Raw anymore, despite the fact that you have Drake Maverick, Leo Rush, the Lucha House Party, but that's another story in general. So they're clearly not part of Raw roster anymore. So I guess what you could do to fill up that third hour, which you guys don't know what you're doing, filled up with the women's tag team title, because basically what I'm saying is, if they were to introduce these titles, they have to be only for Raw, because they just have an extra hour to do whatever the hell they want. They usually don't know what to do with a third hour anyway. They have an extra hour to do whatever they want, because let me tell you something. SmackDown Live, right? If you guys haven't been watching the show for the past month, or 5 months in general, I want people, even though this is probably, again, this live broadcast, but in the comment section below of this broadcast, if you are watching this post, I want you guys to tell me, because I personally don't know off the top of my head, when was the last time that all 4 champions on SmackDown Live appeared in a live segment? I don't mean a backstage promo. I don't mean a backstage promo like what they did last week, Shinsuke Nakamura appearing backstage in a pre-recorded footage. I'm talking about, when was the last time all 4 all 4 champions of SmackDown actually appeared on TV at the same time? You can tell me that, and you see how long it's been since then. That's the main issue with these women's tag team titles. They don't even have enough time to put their own champions on their own show. So what makes you think they're gonna have enough time to put the women's tag team titles on Raw or SmackDown? You see where these issues are starting to flow. We'll give you a perfect example. Shinsuke Nakamura, who is the current United States champion, even though, spoiler alert, that's not gonna last long today. That's all I'm gonna say. The issue is, he's been United States champion since what? July? When was the last time he actually appeared on SmackDown for a long period of time? And another point, when was the last time Shinsuke Nakamura defended his United States title? Since SummerSlam. Okay, I mean, this is off of memory here. He didn't defend it at Hell in a Cell. He didn't defend it at Super Showdown. He defended it on Crown Jewel in the kickoff show, which they established themselves, my call during Survivor Series, that the kickoff shows don't count for anything. He didn't defend it at TLC. And Survivor Series, he was only there by merit because he just so happened to be a champion on the SmackDown Live roster, but he wasn't champion when he appeared at all. But that's the point. Nakamura is one of those examples where it's like and you have to blame the dual branded pay-per-views for that. I might make a whole nother broadcast specifically talk about why these dual branded pay-per-views are a problem and it's affecting what they're trying to establish here with these separate brands and stuff, because Nakamura has been affected by these dual branded shows. And I said it since day one. You're going to kill off these superstars that y'all are trying to make be something, because let me tell you something. Here's a perfect example. Remember when Naomi was hot? Like, remember when she was like doing a lot of stuff? Remember when she was a SmackDown Women's Champion and they were doing their own thing because they had their own pay-per-views? Ever since the brand ever since the dual pay-per-views came dual branded, with the exception of Survivor Series. When was the last time Naomi been on pay-per-view this year? That was a dual branded show. So let's think about was she on the Backlash show? No. Was she on? Well, she was on Money in the Bank by merit. So she was on Money in the Bank. I'll give them that. Was she on Extreme Rules? No. Was she on SummerSlam? No. Was she on Hell in a Cell? No. Was she on Super Showdown? Yes, because she was with Asuka. Was she on Survivor Series? Yes. And was she on TLC? No. So out of the 8 pay-per-views, she's only appeared 3 times this year. However, last year and then 2 years ago, she's been on every pay-per-view because she was a SmackDown superstar. And again, opportunities. You can't give opportunities to people if everything's dual branded. It's the same. Remember when Zack Ryder used to appear on pay-per-view? I remember. And that's damning, too. Like, the Ascension used to appear on pay-per-view. Breezango used to appear on pay-per-view. Whether it's Raw or SmackDown, just even Dana Brooke, for God's sakes, used to appear on pay-per-view when the pay-per-views were separated because they had enough time to use the rosters that they already have. How are you going to be bringing up NXT talent to beefing up these rosters if you can't even use the people that you have on pay-per-views because y'all decided? I get that the attendance was low, but how are you supposed to? You do realize NXT, when they first started, they're pretty much everybody on there with no names except for the few people that they put on that roster, and they're able to sell out events, they're able to sell out takeover because they're utilized people that they have to run with them. You just have to build them up. I guarantee if you build up these people, it's going to work, and that's kind of the problem though. They don't want to chance it because basically these attendance figures, I guess in 2017, they feel as though, you know what, these separated pay-per-views are not working, but it actually is working in what you're trying to accomplish. I guess it's not working from a fans and money standpoint, but you guys have $1 billion you're making $1 billion every year, right? So, I don't know why y'all just couldn't keep the pay-per-views separated, because this is the issue. Naomi, who for 2006, 2017 was on every pay-per-view because that was the whole point. Opportunity. Let's talk about Sasha Banks. I guess another good example of Sasha Banks, where during the brand split, she was on every pay-per-view. But since starting with WrestleMania, actually Backlash, was she on Backlash show? No. She was on Money in the Bank by merit, because they needed women. Was she on Extreme Rules? No. Was she on SummerSlam? No. Was she on Hell in a Cell? No. Was she on Super Showdown? No. Was she on TLC? No. She was at Survivor Series by merit because they needed it. So out of the 8 pay-per-views, again, how many times she appeared? Twice. She appeared twice. I don't count Evolution because by default she had to be on there because it was all women's pay-per-view. Every single woman was on there who wasn't injured, at least, on the main roster. But she only appeared twice. This is someone who was the Raw Women's Champion like 4 times in the past 2 years in 2016-17. She doesn't even appear on pay-per-view anymore. You see the problem? Am I the only one who sees the problem with these dual-branded pay-per-views? And, like, for God's sakes, Breezango's criminal. It's freaking criminal. They were doing so well on freaking SmackDown Live when the pay-per-views were separated. It's just like people like the Ascension, for God's sakes, appeared on pay-per-view. This makes no sense. It's like if I was, like, I'm glad I run a universe mode on my channel because at least I'm trying to make sense of things. You have, like, how many people, because... Now, let's do the math for a second. I had 3 brands, Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live. You had all the superstars together. There's over 120 people that they have active roster in real life, right? I'm not even counting NXT. You separated the brands, but you're only doing dual branded pay-per-views. You only have like 7 or 8 matches. How do you expect to be utilizing over 120 superstars if they're all separate? It makes no sense. And because of these dual branded pay-per-views, you got people you called up that you're not doing nothing with. For a perfect example, No Way Jose. What the hell is he doing? Why did you call him up? What was the point? You're not using him for anything. There was no point in calling him up. Who else you called? The Authors of Pain. Up until 2 months ago, they only appeared on one pay-per-view. And that was because they had to. They was Raw Tag Team. Now they lost the title. They haven't even appeared on pay-per-view since. So why did you call it the Iconics? Why did you call it the Iconics? Because the last pay-per-view they were actually on was Super Showdown and Evolution, which is international pay-per-views and women-only pay-per-views. But what have they done since? Why did y'all call up Sanity? Why? Why did y'all call up Sanity? Why did y'all call up Giant Cianamas? Like, these people who were super over on NXT, if these brands were like truly separated and these pay-per-views were not dual branded, then I guarantee you a Giant Cianamas would be like, he would be a lot more over because they have more time to show him off. You don't have time to show him off because everybody's here. This is the one good thing about the brand exclusive pay-per-view, because they had enough time to tell stories. They don't even have enough time to tell stories anymore, because I'll give you the perfect example. You had, let's just say, from Survivor Series TLC, both of those brands had the exact same deadline. They had 4 weeks. I think even less than that. They had 4 weeks to tell. No matter what the story was, they had to be done in 4 weeks, and that's the problem. You can't tell a compelling story if you are dead tracked in a line. If they're all the same, that's why they all feel like they're the same, because they all had to be ended in the same way. But if you have brand exclusive pay-per-views, so let's just say Raw pay-per-view starts in this month, and then they don't have another pay-per-view for like the next 6 weeks. And then for SmackDown, they have a next pay-per-view in like 4 weeks. There's like a 2-week difference where it's like, okay, we have 2 more weeks to tell the story that we want to tell, and drag this and they have 2 more they have 2 more weeks to tell a much more better story here. Or maybe is that the reason why they were just too lazy to actually write compelling story that we're all just gonna end it the same way and it doesn't really matter. So maybe that's the reason why. But again, that's why we're in my universe mode. Brand exclusive pay-per-views, the brands feel different. The only time they're gonna be interacting are the big 4 pay-per-views. That's it. Otherwise, they're telling their own stories. One has nothing to do with the other at all. Unless it comes to the big 4 pay-per-views, they have literally you're having 2 completely different shows that have nothing to do with each other. One is on one brand. How's this so hard? But back to the women's tag team title point again. You have so many variables why this is a bad idea, because you can only put them on Raw realistically. If you actually introduce these by default, the women are no longer brand exclusive anymore to whatever. They're all technically free agent where they go wherever the hell they want, because they can compete for women's tag title, which is going to be apparently rotating, because I will find it baffling if they actually introduce 2 titles. Because then the other problem is they don't even have enough time to showcase their champions on SmackDown Live. Again, when was the next time Nakamura actually did something meaningful on that show? They only use them for like a 1 match every once a month. That's the problem. But you expect to introduce women's tag team titles? That makes no sense at all. The only possibility unless you extend SmackDown for 3 hours, which I highly doubt that, because especially if it's going on Fox. So there's that. And then the other issue is, by doing that, you're pretty much making the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship completely pointless, because it just if I was Becky Lynch, if I'm not competing for SmackDown Women's title, what is stopping me from going to Raw now, since technically we're all free agents because the women's tag team title? What's stopping me from going to Raw to compete for Raw Women's title? Those 2 titles won't even mean anything anymore, because the whole point were either called Raw and SmackDown title, because they're exclusive to those shows. But the Superstars aren't exclusive to those shows. What is the point? You see the problem with that? You don't see this happening with the tag team titles on Raw and SmackDown. There's too many variables. I mean, yes, as much as I love the fact that women are getting a lot more opportunities and a lot more stuff to get, there's too many variables. I was surprised that they were able to have 2 separate titles when they first did in 2016 for the women. for Raw and SmackDown, but they managed to work with it, I guess. But the thing is, unless they prove me wrong now, I will completely negate this whole hour discussion with you guys, and they actually have 2 separate women's tag titles. I would be baffled if they did that, because the issue still remains the same. If y'all decide to do that, it makes 0 sense, because again, SmackDown barely has enough time to even showcase their own champions on a show. So why would they even have enough time to showcase an additional championship on the show? It just, when it's still, regardless, it's just a bad idea all around. If they're going to introduce the women's tag team title, the only scenario they can do is just put on Raw. They have a whole extra hour to just kill, so there's that. But other than that, it's like, it's a bad idea. It's not gonna work out, especially once again because the pay-per-views are dual branded, because they don't have enough time for their championships to be on the pay-per-view. So it makes you think they have this additional brand new title that they're introducing to be on the pay. It just long term, it makes no sense, and you're effectively intentionally ending the brand split. Even if it's just for winning, you're ending the brand split that you guys already established. If that's the case, what is the point of calling up these NXT superstars you're gonna be doing nothing with? Case in point, Noe Jose, the Authors of Pain, Andrade Cien Almas, Sanity. What's the point? I mean, granted, all these things I just said, you are actually now doing something because you decided to reflect on your lives 2 weeks ago. I mean, last week you said, you know what, we got to switch things up a bit. So, but other than that, for this past year, what exactly has Sanity and Andrade Cien Almas done? Until last week, what have they done? Nothing. They have done absolutely nothing. But that was my little rant there for women's tag team title. Like I said, this was a different type of podcast for the World Wrestling Podcast, and there's that. Should I chill real quick, or no? I should actually ask you guys. So, since it's obviously gonna be going on, this is gonna be uploaded as soon as the broadcast is over. So if you guys are watching this, because again, you guys probably still asleep. It's only 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why I decided to do it this early. I'm gonna take a quick nap myself while I'm letting this SmackDown live episode export. But let me ask you guys a question, because I'm actually going to be available all day today, all day tomorrow too, because I actually have an additional day off from my job. So what do you guys want to do? Should I do, if you guys want to, comment in this video down below when you watch this video, if you make it this far in the end anyway, what would you like to see me do? If I have enough free time, you want me to do another World Wrestling Podcast, because at that point I'm probably reviewing the SmackDown episode, or you want me to do a live stream of a video game, because people have been telling me about Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy Duels. I should finish that. So I have a whole free time today. That's only if. So for today, let me rephrase that. We will do that tomorrow, because today, this is only if for some reason the SmackDown live episode it's not uploaded to YouTube and I can't premiere it by 7 p.m. today, then we can do an additional thing today, and then tomorrow we'll do the SmackDown live episode. But it's all up to you guys. It really is all up to you guys. So comment if this is only if we do the SmackDown live episode today for my universe mode, then tomorrow we can do something different, like or another World Wrestling Podcast if you guys are interested in doing that, or just a live stream of Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy to Duel, so we can wrap. We're nearing the end of that. We're on the Zexal arc, so there's that. And hell, so I'm technically off the whole day. We might just do a whole marathon of it, depending on how many people show up. So we might just do a whole marathon of the whole Zexal arc. So we could just do that if you guys really want to. But other than that, I think that is it for me. Again, guys, we give a special shout out to the subscribers. We have really grown this past month, and I really do appreciate it. I really appreciate all the support, guys. Like, I feel like the rate this, if I continue to do what I'm doing, because basically the universe mode, how I'm doing it, you people love it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Evolutions, you people love it. So if I'm doing everything correctly, maybe we could realistically hit that 30,000 goal by the end of next year. We have a whole year to do it, 365 days to do something. So I feel like, guys, we can do it. But other than that, guys, this is Creator. This was the World Wrestling Podcast. Again, this is only if the SmackDown episode is not ready today by 7 p.m. We'll be doing it tomorrow. So then later today, if you want to do a World Wrestling Podcast, we can. Or if you want to do a live stream, we can do that. I'm free for the next 2 days in terms of live streaming, so we definitely do that. Other than that, guys, it's Creator, and this is World Wrestling Podcast, signing off. Catch you guys later. My crap froze, so hold on. I gotta refresh the page real quick. Oh, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I didn't even see you there, Black Area Gaming. My bad. Did you just comment on that? I have no idea. Hold up. We are not ending this podcast yet. Not yet. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Happy Holidays to you too, man. So there's that. I definitely saw that the last second before I went off. Surprised you're up this. Well, you live in a different time zone than me. You're just probably the afternoon for you, isn't it? Or just starting the afternoon. So there's that. But I'll see you later, man. Hopefully this Smackdown live episode is ready to go. Otherwise, I'll be doing something different right now. As of right now, it's 42%. So other than that, we're signing off, guys. See you later.